Scene 3. Act 2, Scene 3. This is one of the pinnacles of suspense in the whole thing. Because we don't get to see the murder. You know, back in the day, it was more suspenseful if you didn't see the murder. It was off stage or off camera. Now in your horror movies that you go to, you see the murder. Not so nice. So not seeing the murder was even more suspenseful. And this scene is just after the murder. Lady Macbeth comes in, and she says, "That which hath made them drunk hath made me bold." So Lady Macbeth's been dipping in what she gave the guards, and she's bold. It didn't take too much. She's already in this masculine kind of way, and she's bold, she says. "What hath quenched them hath given me fire." Lady Macbeth didn't need a whole lot of fire, but she's got even more now. Now, she's waiting on Macbeth to come down. She's down there just pacing, waiting. The murder is offstage happening. She hears an owl. Now, an owl is symbolic of witchcraft and night evil. It was the owl that shrieked, the fatal bellman which gives the stern good night. He is about it. Macbeth is doing it right now. The doors are open, and the surfeited grooms do mock their charge with snores. They mock, their post is being mocked because they are passed out with snores. "I have drugged their possets, that death and nature do contend about them, whether they live or die." They are passed out cold. Now, she has to say all of that because the audience does not know for sure what's going on. So that's exposition in a way of saying what's happening off stage is that Macbeth is killing the king. And so we're seeing her explanation of that. We hear Macbeth then say off stage, "Who's there? What? Who?" Now, that scares Lady Macbeth. She says, "Oh, alack, I am afraid they have awaked and 'tis not done. I'm afraid the guards have waked up and caught him in the act. The attempt and not the deed confounds us. We're going to get caught trying and not completed. Hark, I laid their daggers ready," she says. "They was right there. He couldn't miss it. He could not miss 'em." Now she says to us, and this is very insightful into Lady Macbeth's character, "Had he not resembled my father as he'd slept, I'd have done it." So that gives us a little inkling that she's got a little bit of love and character nurturing still in there. Had he not resembled my father, he looked like my dad. I'd have killed him, but he looked like my dad. Macbeth comes in, "My husband," and he says, "I have done the deed. Didst thou not hear a noise?" She said, "I heard the owl scream and the crickets cry." "Did you speak? When? Now? As I descended?" "Aye, hark." And he says, "Who lies in the second chamber?" "The bedroom next to Duncan." She said, "Donalbain." And now he's looking at his hands, and they're covered with blood. And he goes, "This is a sorry sight." Now, that lets us know right then he is sorry. This is a sorry sight. His remorse is already present as he looks at those bloody hands. Lady Macbeth thinks that's crazy, a foolish thought to say a sorry sight. She's putting him down again. And here goes Macbeth. "There's one did laugh in his sleep, and one cried murder, that they did wake each other. I stood and heard them, but they did say their prayers and addressed them again to sleep." So, in the second chamber, where Donalbain, who is Malcolm's brother, were sleeping, they woke up. It's like they heard a noise. Now, in those times, what you would do if you woke up in the night and your sleep was disturbed, you would say, one would say, "God bless you," the other one would say, "Amen," you'd go back to sleep, that you would need God's blessing on your sleep. And they did that. He said they did say their prayers and addressed them again to sleep. Lady Macbeth says, "Yeah, those two are lodged together. They're staying together." And Macbeth says, "One cried, 'God bless us,' and amen the other, as if they had seen me with these hangman's hand. Listening their fear, I could not say amen when they did say, 'God bless us.'" Well, you think? Macbeth is saying, "I needed to pray. I couldn't do it." You think? You got the dagger, you're killing the king. You think you're going to be able to pray? Lady Macbeth says, "Don't think about it. Consider it not so deeply." He says, "But wherefore could I not pronounce amen? I had most need of blessing, and it stuck in my throat." Really? You had most need a blessing? In the middle of killing the king, really? Lady Macbeth says, stop thinking about it. These deeds must not be thought after these ways. It will make us mad. You should mark that, because that's some foreshadowing. We can't think about this, she says. It'll make us crazy. Macbeth says, but I thought I heard a voice cry, sleep no more. Macbeth does murder sleep. The innocent sleep, sleep that knits up the raveled sleeve of care, the death of each day's life. Sore labor's bath, balm of hurt mind. Sleep is the calming thing that solves everything. Great nature's second course, chief nursery. He lists about 4 or 5 different things about sleep. And she said, what are you talking about? What do you mean? He said, still, it cried, sleep no more. To all the house, gloms have murdered sleep, and therefore Calidore shall sleep no more. Macbeth shall sleep no more. He uses all 3 of his names. She goes, who said that? Worthy thing, you do unbend your noble strength to think so brain-sickly of things. She's saying, Macbeth, get yourself together. Now they're standing down in the bottom. They're whispering because everybody's asleep. The king is dead. They've just done this thing. She says, go. This is so important right here. You've got to mark it. Go get some water and wash this filthy witness from your hand. Wash your hands with water. Now when she lifts his hands to say, get the blood off your hands, she sees that Macbeth brought the daggers with him. And she goes, why did you bring the daggers from the place? They must lie there. Go carry them and smear the great sleepy grooms with blood. And Macbeth says, no. I'll go no more. He says, I don't want to think about it, much less go see it. I'm not going back. Well, this is a real problem for them because he's brought the weapons down. They cannot get caught with those daggers, the bloody daggers, because it's all over if they do. Lady Macbeth, infirm of purpose, you weak man, she says again. Give me the daggers. I'll do it. The sleeping and the dead are but as pictures. In other words, nobody's going to harm you. It's just like a picture. It's not real. We can just pretend. 'Tis the eye of childhood that paints, that fears a painted devil. If he do bleed, I'll gild the faces of the groom withal, for it must seem their guilt. So she says, I'm going to get some of that blood and smear it on the grooms so that it looks like they did it when I put the daggers back. I hear a knocking. Now, if you have ever been in the midst of something wrong and you hear a noise, you know how that feels. Not that I know. And Macbeth says, what's that knocking? What is it? How is it with me that every noise appalls me? Now, he's saying this by himself because Lady Macbeth has gone back up. And then he looks at his hands. What hands are these? They pluck out mine eyes. I can't even look at these hands, these bloody hands. Then he says, well, all great Neptune's ocean, wash this blood clean from my hand. I think it'll take the whole ocean to get this blood off. He's speaking metaphorically, okay? No, this, my hand, will rather the multitudinous seas and carnadine. And carnadine means to make red. He says, I think rather than the ocean cleansing my hand, this blood will turn the whole ocean red. It's that powerful, that pervasive. Lady Macbeth comes back in. Now her hands are bloody. And she says, look, my hands are of your color, but I shame to wear a heart so white. It's not eating me up like it is you, Macbeth. That knocking is continuing. She says, I hear a knocking at the south entry. Hurry, hurry, retire we to our chamber. Look at what she says about water. He says it's going to take a whole ocean, and really not even the whole ocean, and she says a little water clears us of this deed. All we have to do is wash our hands and we're done. How easy is it then, she says. Your constancy hath left you unattended. You're losing it, Macbeth. More knocking? She says, go, get on your nightgown, lest occasion call us and show us to be watchers. If we have to come down and greet whoever is at that door, and we are shown to be still in our street clothes, still in our day clothes, and we've been up, then they're going to be suspicious about us. She says, be not so lost, so poorly in your thoughts. Macbeth is almost like, to know my deed, 'twere best not to know myself. Knocking continues. It's like, wake, Duncan, with thy knocking, I would thou couldst. He's so sorry already, and he's just losing it. And Lady Macbeth knows at this point she's got to take control, or Macbeth is about to spoil the whole thing if she doesn't take control, like she hasn't taken control already. That is the end of Scene 2.